topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning, Texas and Louisiana. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where for the last 16 years, we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Once in a while, I like sharing backstage, stories. This is not really a story. This is something I am so proud of. We are on 70 platforms, which is a lot most shows are. And we've been doing this show through podcast, radio, and TV for the last 3 years. We used to do radio, but I got to tell you, now we get a lot of people who watch on YouTube, but most of the people listen on radio or iHeart and Spotify. But I got to tell you, I'm so proud of this show that we do with Provident Public Adjusters. This is the first time a show during the show has reached 1,000 viewers. Now, again, we've got 70 platforms, but for a show to reach that many, this is our first one, and we've got shows that go on for an hour who've been with us for 10, 12 years. I am so proud of the show. Welcome, Sarah Mitchell Butler.
Hi, good morning, Steve. How are you?
We're doing great. I am so proud of what your show is doing. And you've only been with us for several months, but we know we've got so many homeowners. In fact, I just answered a gentleman the other day who wanted to know if you work with community associations, the HOAs and the condo associations. And I know from our show, I told him, absolutely send them your phone number. I got to tell you, this is going to be our top show. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. It's Happy Thanksgiving week.
Yes. Tell people about Provident Public Adjuster. And I'm so proud of you because we do public adjusting shows around the country. You do our Texas and Louisiana show. And you're our first female that we've ever had to do the show. And I'm just so excited about what you're doing with Provident Public Adjusters. Tell us about your company.
Yeah, so here at Provident Public Adjusters, we represent the policyholders in all capacities. Small water leaks, small roof leaks, to roof claim, all the way up to any type of, industrial claim, any type of commercial claim. We can, help the policyholders with the breadth of their loss, the breadth and the depth of their loss.
It's amazing. I just want to say this, and listen, every case is different. Please don't compare what happened with me to others. But about 15 years ago, I had a claim, and the company, my homeowner policy, offered me $30,000. I don't know anything about plumbing or replacing anything. So I thought, this is what I've got to accept. I don't think it's right. I think there's more to this. And a friend of mine said, why aren't you using public adjuster? And like most people, what is a public adjuster?
Right.
Not
Right.
until you've had a problem, you would never know. I got to tell you, I ended up hiring a public adjuster. I got $165,000.
Oh yeah, it always depends on the loss, but I really love your story, Steve, because um you having that personal testimony, and I love that you were able to find the help. I hear so many stories on the flip side where maybe a business owner or a homeowner didn't even know we existed and they lost their property or they lost their business. Sometimes it's too late, based on statutes of limitations, it's too late for us to do anything. And so I love that you were able to find that and then get your home repaired to what it should have been in the first place. So that's a happy ending.
You're in the Dallas Fort Worth area. You get all kinds of weather. That's kind of my home. So all my family lives there. You get tornadoes, you get windstorms, you get torrential rains, you get ice storms there. You get everything. And I got to tell you that it is so important that you don't try to handle this yourself. But it's amazing. What's the letters we get about your show is how does a public adjuster charge? Because what's so amazing is you do so much work before you even realize your first time.
Yeah, that's true. So we do work here in Texas. Every state is different. In Texas, we charge on a contingency basis. So if there is no recovery, there is no fee. So it's a free shake of the dice for the insured. And then we, as the public adjuster, have to ensure that the loss is truly there, that there truly is an amount that they have been shorted. And then we put forth a lot of effort before we even see any type of response. So we have to be certain in not only the loss and the confines of the policy, but our efforts as well to make sure that we can be of service.
There's other areas you handle. We don't really talk too much about smoke and fire damage, break-ins. There's other things besides flooding, weather damage that you do, and you handle business. So,
Correct. Yes. You said business losses?
yes.
Yes. Yeah. So business losses, those can be a little bit more complex. It's always going to depend on what's inside the policy, but a lot of policies cover something called business interruption, where it's the lost income that the business ensues due to the loss. So, for example, I had a restaurant that had a flood, and so sprinklers bursted because of the freeze that we had, and so he had to be closed while they mitigated the flood. He had to temporarily open part of the restaurant, right? Because he couldn't stay closed while the insurance company decided what they wanted to pay and not pay. So he partially opened the restaurant, but he still lost income because only half of his restaurant was available. And then he had to close the restaurant down again for the construction repairs. And so it took a lot of analysis and, understanding of what lost business income was to be able to calculate the partial closing, the second closing. And so that's what our team was able to help him with. Yeah.
So amazing. There's so many things that that the normal layman doesn't realize. Can you help speed up the claim process?
Yeah. So the way we're able to help speed up the process is, let's say we are the ones who open the claim. Those are always the ones that make it a little bit faster. Is the reason why is because we know from the onset how to conduct a thorough investigation, right? The insurance companies aren't necessarily going to go look for damage, right? They might see that maybe one cabinet set on one island was damaged due to a water loss, but are they going to take the moisture meter and assess if there were damages to any other parts of the home, for example, if it was a kitchen loss? And so we not only we do thorough investigations to uncover the damage, but we also are the ones to present the initial damages, right? And so us starting the bar here versus here always helps speed up the process, because we are the ones driving the train rather than allowing the insurance company to drive the train.
A lot of people don't even know when they should contact you. I mean, they do it right after like fire, water, or storm loss, or do they wait to get the claim from the insurance company? When should they hire you?
Oh, that's a great question. So I got a phone call the other day, and I was so happy to get this phone call. I got a phone call from someone who found me on Google, and she wanted to know if she should even open a claim, right? Did the damages that she have, were they even covered in her policy? And oddly enough, I loved being able to do a policy review, have her tell me about her damages, and then tell her, well, actually, you only have $5,000 towards these types of damages, and your deductible is $7,000. So I wouldn't even really I would try to find a different way to address these damages rather than filing a claim, because it was going to be under your deductible. And she was so thankful for that, because she would have gone through that long process only to discover that she was underinsured for that type of a claim. And so those are the reasons why, if you're unsure, or perhaps you don't have full clarity on what your deductible is and how that meets damages, I love being able to give a free assessment and guide someone before they even open a claim. However, at the same time, we can still come in from at any point in the claim, as long as it's within the statute of limitations.
Sarah, I got to tell you, people don't know because they don't know anything about public adjusters until they watch a show like this. There's so many, I guess, scam companies out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I know that now is we've gotten several letters from people who were scammed. I know how important customer service is to you. What should people look for when they're hiring a public adjuster?
Yeah, great question. So you'll want to first check their licensing credentials. So every state requires that a public adjuster is licensed, and you can usually look that up on your state's website. So one, you want to make sure that they're licensed. And then two, you want to make sure that they have insurance, right? Us as public adjusters, we carry insurance as well. That's the business that we're in, right? And then two, do your due diligence on what is available to the consumer, meaning their website. Do they have any websites? Do they have any reviews? Are they available on social? Sometimes you might find a public adjuster who isn't as consumer facing. I know I myself struggled with, trying to handle claims and figure out how to create a Google page and a social media page. But, over time, we were able to get a lot of those things established. But, just doing a Google search on that person's name and their license number will help establish, what their, what type of business they've done with the public as well.
We're getting a lot of questions from listeners. There's people out there, which I'm sure you know about, that are afraid to file a claim that their insurance company might drop them.
Yeah, so that is a real thing. And these are really questions more for an agent, your insurance agent. But that is true. Based on what I've seen, if you file so many claims within a set period of time, right? The insurance companies really define that. They might drop you, or you might not be insurable somewhere else if you open too many claims in whatever period of time. And so those are things you definitely want to check with your insurance agent, your local insurance agent about, and take all of those things in consideration before you open a claim.
Sarah, are you surprised how many people don't really know what's in their policies?
That's a good question. So I used to be surprised, but then
Yeah,
before I was in the industry, I put a mirror up to myself and I was like, wait a minute, I don't even know what's in my policy. So
right.
unfortunately, it took me being in the industry um, to really understand what was in my own policy. And these policies are written in a way that it does not, they're just difficult to understand really truly. Even me, sometimes I'll read a policy and I'll have to get my highlighter and my pen and I'm referencing all of these things. And so it's not, unfortunately it's not made, they're not written to be consumer friendly and to the layman to understand. So but yeah, it is important to read it, at least your declaration page, to understand what coverages you do and do not have.
How do you handle claims when the insurance company denies coverage?
Yeah, so good question. So the first thing I look at first is I ask the policyholder to send me all of the documentation that the insurance company has sent them, right? Because generally speaking, when a denial is issued, the insurance company will utilize the policy language as a reason for their denial. So that's the first thing I do. I just immediately look at the denial letter. And I've been doing this long enough to know when the insurance company uses specific denial language, I've been doing this long enough to understand, okay, I can see there might be a gap here. Or sometimes when it's very specific, I can see they might have rightfully denied this claim. So first I look at that. And then I ask, we do an assessment of the damages. What was the causation? What was the extent of the damages? What was the dollar amount? Let me see pictures. Let me come do a site visit. And so we analyze it based on those two things first. And then, of course, we always look at the policy. The policy is a contract between the policyholder and the insurance company. And so we look for any type of possible breach of contract there, or, something that was missed or overlooked. And we always try to find a way to apply the policy to the damages.
This is from Conrad in Plano, Texas. He says, I'm one of those 1,000 that's watching the show. I really appreciate a show like this, being a homeowner and a business owner. I'm curious, I hope I didn't miss this from the beginning of the show. How do public adjusters handle large commercial or multifamily property claims differently than they would, say, a single family home?
Well, thanks for watching, Conrad. Appreciate you listening to Steve-O. Okay, so it's the first thing we're going to look at is the policy, right? These large commercial claims and the multifamily claims, there's going to be so many different facets to those policies than you might see in a homeowner's policy, right? And we always look at deductibles. It depends on where we come in the claim, but sometimes I've advised, a multifamily or commercial property owner to not file a claim because they had a $50,000 deductible and the damages weren't going to meet the deductible. So it didn't make very much sense. Versus a homeowner's policy, we'll take a look at the damages and say, well, you only have $1,000 deductible. The damages here are about $20,000. So it might make more sense for you. So those are some of the first things that we looked at whenever distinguishing the two. The second thing that we look at are exclusions and endorsements. You're going to find a lot more of those in commercial and multifamily properties, more so than residential. They still exist for residential policies, but you just have to be very skilled at being able to assess the differences between the two.
Oh, this is not a question. This is somebody just texted us. This is Philip. Philip in, looks like Richardson. He said, I called your company last year and you were very honest with me and told me that you really didn't need your services because of the amount. And you were so upfront and so honest. And I really feel like other companies would have taken it on just to take on my claim. I just want to tell you that I appreciate your business, how you run your business, and thank you. Wow, that's nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. Thanks for that, Philip. And yeah,
you never know who's watching or listening.
Yeah, we really do get quite a number of those calls where maybe it doesn't make sense. And I really enjoy educating the public and protecting them. And so I'm really glad that's a nice message to have received.
How come, and I just got this question from Garland, no name, how come policies don't cover termites?
Oh, that is a good question. So there are exclusions about specific types of living creatures and a lot of different policies. And that would be one of those. Yeah. So really policies are meant for sudden and accidental losses, right? That can sometimes fall under home maintenance to some degree. And so an insurance policy is meant for something that is, unexpected, and that something that is non-maintenance can really manage. And so sometimes the termites, a lot of those types of losses can be managed by, home maintenance. Home maintenance is an important aspect to home ownership. And so you want to always do the best you can to prevent any type of loss. Actually, my sister is dealing with that right now. She's got termites, and it's because she had a long-term water leak. And so that was something that, was not covered because it was a long-term leak. And so therefore the termites came into the picture. But, these are kinds of things that you just want to be aware of with what's going on with your home.
Yeah, we have a couple minutes left. Your show goes by so fast. Tell people why they should hire you if they have a claim.
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, we really care about our clients. We really care about the fact that the thing that you worked for, right? The American dream, to own a home, to own a business, you worked very hard for that. And we care about protecting that as well. And so we take it very personally here. And we want to make sure that you are able to maintain, having a home that you work so hard for, or continuing to run a business that you really worked so hard for. So one, we care. And then two, we really take, we are very diligent in what we do. We're very detail oriented. While we do have some men on our team, we have a lot of females. And so we kind of have that, sense of empathy and extra care and concern for our clients. And so we're very detail oriented in how we, help our policyholders.
It's so obvious. We're so lucky to have you. I want to wish you and your family a wonderful and blessed Thanksgiving coming
Yeah.
up. Sarah's with us every month, and by the letters we're getting, people love your show. So we'll see you next month. And I got to tell people, listen, this is one company. We don't endorse a lot of our experts. I don't know how it comes out that way, but you can tell by the way that Sarah answers the questions that come in where her heart is. I'm so glad Texas and Louisiana have you, and we'll see you next month.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, Steve.
Tell people, wait, you know what? I didn't even ask. Tell people again how they can reach you.
Sure. You can reach us on our website at www.txclaims.com. And then our phone number is 817-692-9144.
Beautiful. Hey, we'll see you next month.
Okay. Happy Thanksgiving, Steve.
Same to you, Sarah. That's Provident Public Adjusting. Folks, that's it for us. Yeah. Everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.